Picture this. You're reading a story that's absolutely captivating. The characters are vivid. The plot is gripping. But then, suddenly, you find yourself wading through paragraph after paragraph of exhaustive setting descriptions. The momentum grinds to a halt as you slog through an avalanche of details about the town's history, the layout of the streets, the architectural styles of the buildings. Before you know it, you've forgotten what the story was even about. Sound familiar? That, my friend, is the dreaded info dump. Info dumping is when a writer tries to cram in a whole bunch of information all at once, usually in the form of long, expository paragraphs. And when it comes to setting, it often means front-loading the story with every single detail about the time, place, and context, rather than carefully selecting and threading the most essential tidbits throughout. It's like being forced to eat an entire 3-course meal in one gigantic bite. It's overwhelming, unappetizing, and likely to make you lose your appetite altogether. But here's the thing. As a writer, you want your readers to be fully immersed in the world you've created. You want them to feel the grit of the city streets beneath their feet, to taste the salty tang of the ocean breeze, to hear the creak of the old floorboards in the haunted house. And to do that, you need to weave in those sensory details and bits of context that make the setting come alive. The key is to do it with a light touch, a deft hand, rather than a sledgehammer. So, how do you avoid those dreaded info dumps and integrate your setting details more naturally? First, ask yourself, is this detail absolutely essential for the reader to know right now? Will the story still make sense and have emotional impact without it? If the answer is no, then leave it out or save it for later. Trust your reader to fill in some of the blanks with their own imagination. Second, use your characters' experiences and perspectives to reveal the setting gradually. Instead of a lengthy description of the city's layout, show your protagonist navigating the maze of alleyways, getting lost in the labyrinth of dead-end streets. Let your character shiver in the chill wind that whips off the river, or wipe the soot from the factories off her face. These little sensory details paint a picture of the environment without putting the story on pause. Another trick is to scatter your setting descriptions throughout the scene, rather than lumping them all together in one big block. Mention the cracks in the sidewalks of the run-down neighborhood in one line of dialogue, the faded elegance of what was once a grand hotel in another. This way, you're creating an accumulation of detail that builds a vivid sense of place over time, rather than hitting the reader with it all at once. And here's a pro tip. Make those setting details do double duty by using them to reveal character at the same time. The meticulous topiaries and lavish furnishings of the wealthy widow's mansion tell us just as much about her personality as they do about her environment. The bare, sterile walls of the protagonist's apartment might mirror his emotional emptiness. When your setting descriptions serve multiple purposes, they feel more integrated and essential to the story. Ultimately, the goal is to create a setting that feels real, lived in, and essential to the narrative, without bogging down the pace or overwhelming the reader. It's a balancing act, a dance of revealing just enough, at just the right moments, to transport your reader into the world you've created. So, to recap, info dumping is the enemy of engaging storytelling. But by carefully curating your setting details, weaving them in gradually through character experience and scattered description, and making them serve multiple functions, you can create an immersive sense of place that enhances your story rather than derailing it. Here's an exercise for you. Take a scene you've written and highlight any places where you might be info-dumping setting details. Then, brainstorm ways to break up those chunks of description and integrate them more organically into the action, dialogue, and character experiences. See how it changes the flow and impact of the scene. And hey, if you found this helpful and want to dive even deeper into the art of crafting immersive fictional worlds, check out the full course I've linked in the description below. It's packed with tips, techniques, and examples for taking your settings to the next level. Plus, if you decide to enroll, you'll be supporting this channel and allowing me to keep making content like this. But, for now, get out there and start weaving those vivid, evocative settings, one carefully chosen detail at a time. Your readers will thank you for it. And as always, happy writing.